The opinions expressed in this episode or any episode do not necessarily reflect my personal opinions, feelings, or experiences. Hello and welcome to The Block, the first Minecraft and org game show community interview podcast. I'm your host, professional victim Kid Moto, and today we have a really special guest. Today's guest is the community breakout star, at least in my opinion, of the year 2020. In my opinion, no one better exemplifies the modern era of Survivor than Gonzo, bursting onto the scene in Chris's season 8 and later appearing in pretty much all other game shows he could get his hands on. Gonzo has recently set his sights on the org community, where he's, of course, found a lot of success as well. So Gonzo, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
Kid, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the kind words, and hopefully I can shed some light on all of it.
Yeah, I'm curious specifically because I've heard, we talk pretty regularly. I've heard recently that you've been getting into more orgs and doing really well in them from what my research has shown. What kind of has led to this pivot away from Minecraft game shows and more into the org community? Or are you still very much in the Minecraft scene as well?
I definitely say I'm trying to branch out a little bit more right now. I think for me, what it comes down to is I'm just a Survivor junkie, you know what I mean? Like, I'll take any form of Survivor where I can get it, Minecraft Survivor, I used to do Roblox, now I'm doing org Survivor where it's like literally a 39-day experience and you have like the full mental aspect surrounding you. I don't know, something about it just keeps me coming back, and I don't know why. Voting people out, voting out your friends shouldn't keep you coming back, but I can't go on a break for like more than a week without ever wanting to play more games. But I think I'm definitely not out of the Minecraft community. I'm definitely still into that, but there just hasn't been as much involvement, whereas the org community is so big and there's so much things around it that I could literally do anything.
Do you think that mentality of can't go a week without playing something like Survivor Junkie, is that something that's a Gonzo specific trait? Or do you think you've noticed that a lot more in the people who have joined the community around the same time as you versus people who have been sort of established and here for a while?
I think you can definitely see the people who are newer to the community like playing more games. I think you can call it maybe a survivor burnout. Like all the people who are like well established in the community, like they know these people, they've played with them before, like you know what you're gonna get. And sometimes you don't always like that. So you do it less and less. And so you can try to have more variables in your game. But when you're new and fresh, there's always new faces and there's always new things to do. So I feel like I'm definitely still on the newer side. Maybe I'll catch that burnout soon where it's like, oh God, I've been playing one of these every other week. I need to stop. But it's really fun. And I like playing with all the people who play a lot like me too.
Have you felt like you've been able to make like some really genuine friends in the short time that you've been here so far?
It's actually been like really crazy. It's honestly turned like my whole quarantine life around. Like before I was kind of just at home just watching TV or whatever, not really talking to many people outside of my friends when I could, but like it almost gave me like a second life and like some new fresh air to breathe in, just all these new people I could meet and hang out with. And it was just like a new community and a new family that I got to, that accepted me with open arms. And it was honestly like the most accepting group I've ever seen, the most like welcoming group. And, you can really be yourself around a lot of these people. And it was just something I wanted to stick from the moment I saw it. So it was amazing.
Do you think that's like more of a testament to your personality? Like, do you think you found it easier to kind of fit in and make friends in a community like this than maybe some other people that joined around the same time? Or do you feel like the community as a whole is just a really accepting, open place?
I think, in general, I'm a more social person and just growing up in my normal life, I've been one of the popular kids in school. I've been to Jewish summer camp where popularity means nothing and everyone's just themselves. And I've seen every part of like the social spectrum, and it's really cool just to be able to see a person, connect with them, meet them, and just get their vibe right from the start. And I feel like in the Minecraft community, it's kind of like a different world than real life. And there's so many people that are just so much more genuine and nice, and you can just be honest and open, even though we're behind a screen, which sounds weird.
Was the Nile your first sort of taste of this community? I know you said you've played in the Roblox games before, but was like applying for the Nile, getting on, and then meeting people through that, was that sort of your first taste of this community as a whole?
Oh yeah. Basically what had happened was I got back into Minecraft. I was like, all right, I'm trying to like do something like this more. And I was also into Survivor, so I kind of just looked it up on YouTube, mixing it together. And I found this channel, and I don't know, I just kind of didn't look back from the moment I found it. Like Chris's was my first ever time I played in a Minecraft Survivor, and it just completely opened my eyes to like a world that I wasn't aware of, like kind of like Ice Age 3 when they go to the dinosaur part, and then like you're like, whoa, what is this? Yeah, so it was my first time playing, and it was like I think it was just like the perfect thing for the time I was at in my life, just to like be able to meet those people and make, honestly, I feel like friendships that will last maybe the rest of my life, because it was just it was a big bonding moment. Keep
Yeah,
going.
so I don't normally talk about my intention with this show is to be not only positive but also series agnostic. So I really try not to, dive into specifics of series or like individual performances. But I do want to ask, because I am genuinely curious. What was your reaction to, how you did in the Nile versus maybe the fan reception of you as a player? Because I do think that you are unique in the sense that you were really genuinely beloved by a lot of the viewers, but that didn't necessarily translate to your performance. So how do you feel about sort of that dichotomy?
I I just think it's really cool that no matter what I do, I had like a group of people who had my back during it. Someone was just sitting at home watching their Minecraft Survivor, and they found something they could relate to in me and something they could root for in me. And it just means a lot from every single person to have their support. And even if I didn't play the best game, I feel like the amount of support I got really showed that you don't need to play the best game in order for your good parts to shine through. And you really just got to be yourself going into everything you do and try your best. So, I gave it my best shot from beginning to end while I was in it. And I think that's the reason that people loved me so much for it.
Did that kind of affect your mindset moving forward in the other games that you played? Did the Nile have an impact on you when you eventually moved on to play in other seasons?
I think you always get sort of a reputation on your back for whatever type of recorded season you did. Like, I'm not even bad at Minecraft parkour anymore, but people still make jokes about me failing the parkour. Yeah, I'm sure they do it with you too. And, they're always like, oh, Gonzo, is he going to make the merge? Is he going to make the merge? Oh, Gonzo made the merge. So there's always like these stereotypes and reputations that you'll have. But I feel like it's not the worst one to have. I think it really sets me up good in a lot of games, because people are like, oh, he's not the best at comps. He got out early. He's someone we'll be able to take out. Just leave him in there. So it helped, but it hurt too, because having a lot of exposure always means that you're going to have people against you sometimes, wherever you go, no matter what you do.
What about the personal pressure? Did you ever feel like you had something to prove, or you took the games seriously, or were you able to keep this sort of happy-go-lucky attitude in everything that you play?
I think I felt a really big case of I needed vengeance, or not vengeance, just some sort of thing to show that I'm not that last pre-merge boot. Like I can be someone different than that. I feel like I always had that kind of chip on my shoulder until I did good in a lot of games, and people, I always felt like I was trying to get people to respect me in the community. Like, yeah, I'm a cool figure. Like, I'm someone who you enjoyed, but that was just for the time being. Now, there's a real game at hand. And I always felt like I was kind of like, I always felt like, oh, you can do better than that. So I always strive to be the best that I could in every game moving forward. And I was always hungry. So it made me hungry every time, just being able to look back and see I was so close to getting to the merge in one of those, one of the bigger seasons.
Like, has there ever been a moment over the last year where you've been really disappointed with either yourself or a game that you played? And, have you ever thought about like, I need to take a break or step away for a little bit?
There was definitely a couple moments where I felt like, all right, this is my time to really prove myself, like play with the big boys, and I really just fell short. One of them was, you were on the other end of it. It was Liz's All Stars was a huge one. The first tribal council I attended to, it was an 8-1, and it was just not the season for me. Really bad luck for me. So I just felt like, I don't know, it wasn't the best wasn't the best cards I was given during that game, but that was okay. And also another big one that I got really disappointed in was Echo's old school versus new school, because I felt like there's all these new people who I'm really excited to try and get to know better during this game, and all of these old school people who I want to like show what's up, like we're the new people, we're gonna rule this thing. And I just got out really early, and our whole tribe just got like decimated, and it was not the best experience for me. So I've had a lot of moments where I fell short, but I think there's honestly been many more where I've just gone beyond expectations, and I've not been that last pre-merge boot. I've been the guy who is on the dominant side, on the number one, on the upside of the threats, and it's always fun.
As a pretty well established premier new school player at this point, I would say, um what's the biggest difference that you've noticed when interacting or playing with old school members of the community versus like your fellow class of 2020 new school players?
I think a lot of the old school players, they've had the time to garner a reputation under them, and no matter how much you do, you'll never be able to get away from it sometimes. So they always like, I feel like they play a lot less, and when you do see them play, it's more of like a, wow, this person is playing the game. So just being with a ton of old school players, it really brings out a competitive aspect in you. Like, these people have been around longer than me, they know their way around. Like, I want to show them what's going to happen, like the new school. And I think being one of the new school players, I still have like all this energy inside of me to play all these games. And it's just cool to be able to be like, man, maybe in a couple of years, I'll be one of those people who's on the veteran side, on the old school side of things. So I'm looking to hopefully stay here for a long time.
Gonzo, I think I already know the answer to this question. I think you even just covered it, but I always like to end with what does the future hold for you? You are a social person. I'm sure in your real life and in this community. So, will we still be seeing Gonzo the Gun Show as, quarantine restrictions are lifted? Will we still see you out on the island? What does the next 12 months in a post-COVID community look like for you?
I think you're going to be seeing Gonzo on a lot of seasons in the near future if you know where to put your eye. I'm already in Echo's season 2, The Wild West, which is on episode 4. Almost another Hickma moment so far. We've lost the first 3 tribal immunities, so I'm hoping things can turn around, but you'll have to check that out. And as far as real life, I got into San Diego State University. So I'm going to be living on campus in the dorms next year, and that's going to be really fun. I'm staying local in San Diego, and I'm just going to be living my life,